British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's closest political ally and Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab has resigned from his post following an independent investigation into complaints that he bullied government officials. The 5-month investigation into Raab's behaviour heard evidence from multiple government officials about complaints of bullying at 3 different departments. Raab's exit comes at a time when Sunak is striving to improve public perception of his government following the scandal-riddled tenure of Boris Johnson and the chaotic economic policies that brought down Liz Truss after less than 2 months. It is pertinent to note that this is the 3rd major exit in the last 6 months.
Britain's Deputy Prime Minister has resigned after an investigation into complaints he bullied colleagues. The latest scandal to force out one of Rishi Sunak's top ministers. Dominic Raab quit on Friday, in a major embarrassment to the Prime Minister, who entered Downing Street last October, promising a government of integrity. He was the 3rd senior minister in 6 months to resign over their personal conduct. Raab's departure comes just 2 weeks ahead of English local council elections, where Sunak's Conservatives are predicted to fare badly. Sunak's government follows the scandal-ridden tenure of Boris Johnson and the chaotic economic policies that brought down Liz Truss in less than 2 months.
Does he think more bullies will be brought to justice?
The months-long independent investigation into Raab's behaviour heard evidence from multiple government officials about complaints of bullying at 3 different departments. Raab requested the investigation in November. He said he felt duty-bound to accept the outcome, but defended his own conduct. He said the report, which has not yet been publicly released, concluded he had not once sworn, shouted or physically intimidated anyone, and dismissed all but 2 of the claims against him. It set the threshold for bullying so low, Raab said, that it set a dangerous precedent for the conduct of good government. Sunak is facing his own investigation. Parliament's standards watchdog is looking into whether the Prime Minister properly declared his wife's shareholding in a childcare company, which would benefit from a new government policy.
And I'm joined by Sanjay Suri, who's reporting from London as this tussle continues within the Conservative camp. So Sanjay, what's the latest coming in from Westminster?
Well, we have a replacement for Raab. Oliver Dowden is now the Deputy Prime Minister, and a reshuffle now in the positions of cabinet, which of course was inevitable. But this matter is not quite resting where it is. The opposition is certain to take this up to target not just Raab, because Raab is now out and back to the backbenches. It will target Rishi Sunak himself. And really at the heart of this is an issue: what constitutes bullying? It is clear from this report that, as alleged by some civil servants, Raab was very persistent and aggressive. The report says that he used and misused his power in a way to humiliate and to undermine colleagues. Now, Raab has defended himself, and he said that, and as he sees it, all he did was to stand his ground and indulge in some plain speech. So really this is a question of where does the bullying threshold lie. According to Raab, it lies too low, and in that he appears to have been supported by Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak has said there were clearly shortcomings in this whole process. So Rishi Sunak has accepted, of course, Raab's resignation, but also defended him against these charges that have been upheld in that inquiry report.
Right. And Sanjay, the Conservative camp, ever since Boris Johnson's exit, has always seemed to be this unstable ship. Has Dominic Raab's exit kind of added to the instability?
Well, it has not been entirely stable under Rishi Sunak, certainly relative to the previous 2 Prime Ministers stable, but the Rishi Sunak government has been rocked by 3 resignations of senior ministers. Gavin Williamson again over charges of bullying, then Nadeem Zahawi over his tax affairs that were clearly not in order, and now Raab over bullying again. So there is a question here that this is not coincidence. These were all people who were handpicked by Rishi Sunak for these top jobs. There is a question about Rishi Sunak's judgment, not only in having picked these people and in the latest having picked Raab, but also continued to defend Raab. Certainly Rishi Sunak would have known what the allegations against Raab are, and he continued to defend Raab, ordered the inquiry rather than ask him to go while the inquiry proceeded. And now in his statement again defending Raab, there will be a question where Rishi Sunak's judgments lie, and if Rishi Sunak seems to be endorsing Raab's stand against the inquiry report, that certainly is going to make him a target for more criticism, and this will be aimed at him from outside, from Labour and the Lib Dems principally, but also there could be rumblings growing within the Conservative Party itself. So all this is certain to trigger yet greater instability, and of course the election results due in a couple of weeks, the local election results, are not going to help.
Right, and Sanjay, we've always seen that when it comes to British politics, the government tends to come under pressure due to public narratives which are set by the tabloids. When it comes to this Dominic Raab case, have the tabloids been having a field day?
Well, the tabloids have a field day no matter what happens. It is not about what happens, it's about the twist and turn they give to it, and they make quite a living out of that kind of business. So clearly this is now given them more ammunition to hit the government with, to hit the Prime Minister with, and every newspaper seems to be looking for ammunition always to target the party and the leader that is in government. And clearly they have found a good deal. This is something that they're going to hammer home with. They're going to attack Raab, of course. They will attack Sunak for his judgment, and not forgetting Sunak himself is under a cloud, and yet again, and he's facing another inquiry of his own, whether he made the full disclosures as required by the code of conduct about his wife's business interests, and the possible issue of a conflict of interests that would arise as a result of those. That inquiry is proceeding. So this is now all adding up by bits and pieces, and it's all notching up a case in the public and in the media, the tabloids particularly, as you say, against Rishi Sunak. And all this coming after the fact that Rishi Sunak was after all fined during the lockdown, and again fined for not wearing a seat belt, is certainly not helping his image.
Right, and before I let you go, Sanjay, this is, of course, the Conservative ship is quite a ship caught in choppy waters. But what has this entire scandal done for the popularity or the public perception of Keir Starmer on the other side? Is he still facing a popularity crisis, or has this situation within the Conservative camp given him some boost when it comes to that personality politics between him and the Conservative leader?
Well, the Labour have had a fairly steady lead over the Conservatives as far as the opinion polls go. There have been questions, as you quite rightly say, personally about Starmer in relation to Sunak, because we have an interesting duality that the opinion polls point to. The Conservative Party is less popular than Labour, but Rishi Sunak himself so far has been more popular than Starmer. Now, this is an interesting duality, and of course we have to see how that would play out in an election if that were to persist and carry on the way it is. But these allegations against the cabinet that was picked by Rishi Sunak and Rishi Sunak's own judgment will perhaps compromise his position. There is a possibility that Rishi Sunak may himself lose the lead that he's had over Starmer, and Starmer then could gain simply by doing no more than being a critic and pointing to the obvious and riding the wave of anti-government rhetoric now piling up in the media.